221 inches of Detroit luxury is what you got when you purchased a Cadillac Eldorado in 1967. It was the car that you bought when you made it. Decades of hard work and frugal savings were all made worth it when you were gliding down the road with your family in a Caddy. But unlike Cadillac's other models and the Eldorados of years earlier, these late 60s Eldos had a secret hiding under the hood that was a first for Cadillac. A totally unconventional front-wheel drive system that was somehow able to handle all of the torque from those giant Cadillac V8s and improve ride quality. It was America's ultimate luxury car, and this is its story. Now, Eldorado means the golden one, and it also happens to be the name of the mythical missing city of gold. So right off the bat, Cadillac was calling their shot with naming the car. It was to be among the best that America had to offer in the luxury department. The Eldorado nameplate first hit the scene in 1953 as Cadillac's ultra-luxury halo car, a limited production, high-styled convertible designed to showcase everything that the brand could offer. Priced nearly twice as much as a standard Series 62, it wasn't built for volume, it was built to turn heads. With its wraparound windshield, wire wheels, and dramatic presence, the first Eldo was less a car and was more a statement of success. Throughout the 1950s, the Eldorado became Cadillac's canvas, and tail fins grew to skyscraper heights, and each new model year brought more chrome, more power, and more visual drama. By 1959, the Eldorado Barrettes and Seville had reached peak flamboyance, flaunting the tallest fins ever fitted to a production car, and a 345 horsepower, 390 cubic inch V8 under the hood. But despite the showmanship, under the skin it shared much with the other Cadillac models. It was rear-wheel drive, body-on-frame construction, and it had a plush but conventional driving experience. By the early 1960s, the Eldorado began to lose some of its uniqueness, becoming more of a high-trim Cadillac convertible than a truly distinct model. The market for personal luxury cars was evolving here stateside, and Cadillac needed something bolder to stay ahead of the rivals like the Ford Thunderbird and the Buick Riviera. And luckily for them, General Motors was already on the case at a corporate level. They were looking for a way to shake up the luxury coupe segment, and front-wheel drive, believe it or not, was the bold answer that they came up with. Now, the idea wasn't entirely new. Cord had done it in the 30s, but for an American car, especially one the size of a small boat, it was practically unheard of in the 60s. The spark came from Oldsmobile, who had been quietly developing an innovative front-wheel drive system for nearly a decade, and they finally completed it for their new 1966 Toronado. This system, known as the Unitized Power Package, cleverly combined a longitudinally mounted V8 with a chain-driven, 3-speed, turbo-hydromatic transmission, all nestled up front. The V8 was mounted longitudinally like pretty much every other American car at the time, but when you look at the schematics, you'll see that the differential is essentially next to the engine, as is the transmission, where a chain connects them on the back of the motor. It was a packaging marvel that was tested over 1.5 million miles before it ever saw application in a production car. When the Toronado finally launched in 1966, it was a shock to the industry, and it won the Motor Trend Car of the Year award. General Motors saw the future, and Cadillac saw the opportunity to take this innovation and elevate it to the next level of refinement for their new personal luxury flagship, the 8th generation Eldorado. Coinciding with this new tech, Cadillac also wanted to build a car that didn't look anything like the last Eldo. And that's where the design team came in. Led by none other than Bill Mitchell, Mitchell saw the potential not in just the drivetrain, but in what it could enable. With no need for a driveshaft tunnel, the floor could be flatter, the roof could be lower, and the silhouette of the car could be sleeker. Compared to all the other 1967 model year Caddies, the Eldo had a look all its own with its wide front grille and hideaway headlights. compared to every other Cadillac which had the exposed double stack headlights. It also had these super cool rear windows that actually retracted back into the roofline rather than going down into the body. The Eldorado was mean, and in black, it looked like the car fit for a mob boss, and it had the muscle to back it up. Over the course of the front-wheel drive Eldorado's production run, there were 3 Cadillac V8s available. At first, the only engine option was their 429 cubic inch V8, which made a respectable 340 horsepower and 380 foot-pounds of torque, thanks to its 4-barrel carb and 10.5-to-1 compression. All of that was put to the ground through a 3-speed automatic transmission, and those were solid numbers for the period. But when you look at the actual performance specs of the Eldorado, it sure didn't seem all that quick. 0 to 60 happened in the 8-second range, which wasn't fast. So what happened? Well, physics happened. These new Eldorados were still giant personal luxury coupes that weighed over 4,800 pounds. All that luxury came at the expense of weight, and the 321 final drive ratio made the gears pretty long for that improved cruising ability, thus the fairly dismal performance numbers. Not that you would have cared about that when buying a Cadillac, though. In 1968, the Eldorado ditched its 429 in favor of Cadillac's new 472 cubic inch motor, which made 375 horsepower and over 500 foot-pounds of torque. This was a nice power bump that gave the Caddy a bit more shove to it, but there was still more to come, because by 1970, there was yet another motor upgrade to the new Cadillac 500 cubic inch V8, which made 400 horsepower and 550 foot-pounds of torque. Cadillac just kept on upping the ante with their engines, and customers were able to reap the benefits. Now, the Eldorado's suspension was essentially a reworked version of the Oldsmobile Tornado setup, but just made even more comfortable because, well, it's a Cadillac. It needed that signature cloud-like ride. Initially, 4-wheel drum brakes were standard on these land yachts, but by 1968, front disc brakes became standard, and thank God, because a 5,000-pound car with just drums isn't ideal. Stepping inside the Eldorado, that is where the magic happened. This was not a car you just drove, it was a car that you arrived in. The interior was a mix of futuristic ideas and good old American excess. The flat floor, made possible by that front-wheel drive layout, meant more room to stretch out. Wide, deeply cushioned bench seats became standard, though optional buckets with a center console could be spec'd for a more personal, sporty feel. The materials were pure Cadillac, rich fabrics, thick carpet, and genuine wood veneer on the dash and the door panels. Over the years, that veneer expanded in coverage, especially in 1970, where it nearly wrapped around the entire dash. The dashboard layout, though, was still about simplicity and style. It had this large rectangular cutout that housed everything from the gauges to the controls in one spot. It looked slick and it felt expensive. Cadillac even tweaked smaller elements year to year, like enlarging the side mirrors in 1968 and adjusting the rearview mirror to improve visibility. Everything inside the Eldorado was designed to isolate you from the outside world. It was quiet, soft, controlled, and above all else, it was indulgent. Customers and the press loved it, and the Eldorado sold like hotcakes, even with its steep $6,300 base MSRP. The 1967 model hit the market with a bang, racking up 17,900 units sold, nearly 3 times the volume of any previous Eldorado model. In 1968, things got even better. With a new, more powerful 472 and other improved features, sales climbed to just shy of 25,000 units. That made the Eldorado responsible for nearly 11% of Cadillac's total sales that year. 1969 saw minor design tweaks and updated safety equipment, and while sales dipped slightly, Cadillac still moved over 23,000 cars. And by 1970, with the launch of the 500 cubic inch V8 and even more refinements, the Eldorado closed out the era with another 23,000 cars being sold. Over 4 years, Cadillac sold nearly 90,000 front-wheel drive Eldorados. The 1967 to 1970 Eldorado wasn't just a new chapter for Cadillac, it was them rewriting the story of the model. Because after 1967, every single Eldorado that followed was a front-wheel drive car. Had Oldsmobile not spent the years developing their front-wheel drive system, and had Cadillac not taken the extra year to improve the already great Toronado into the ultimate luxury coupe, then there is no telling if Cadillac would have ever made the switch to front-wheel drive for the Eldorados. And that's why this car was worthy of a video. Thank you all for watching another episode of our Rare Cars documentary series. If you enjoyed this video, we would greatly appreciate it if you could drop a like and also share this video with other enthusiasts. Also, please make sure that you are subscribed to the Rare Cars YouTube channel and smash that notification bell for more documentary-style videos just like this on the world's most interesting cars. Until next time, enthusiasts.